holding a they're holding a meeting on stray dogs as to how to minimize the menace. It's bitten so many of us have got bitten by the dogs that there's now. Hello,
She has
Nitya.
joined.
Okay.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Nitya. Welcome to
Good
today's
afternoon.
mock interview.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good
Thank you,
afternoon.
sir.
Please introduce yourself briefly.
Yes, sir. Sir, my name is
Can
Nitya
you
Pandey.
come closer to your camera, to your device? Yeah, please come closer.
Sir, is it fine now?
No, better. Come even closer, a little more. Is it possible?
Sir, Sir, it is not possible to come more closer than
Okay,
this.
okay. Doesn't matter. This is okay. This is better. Switch off your phone or put it on silent.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Please introduce yourself.
Yes, sir. Sir, my name is Nitya Pandey. I was born in Panna and majorly brought up in Gwalior. Sir, I have done my schooling from Carmel Convent School, Gwalior, and completed my graduation from Daulatram College in the streams of political science and economy. Sir, my father is an additional district judge currently posted in Datia. My hobby is mandala art painting, and my areas of interest are practicing Patanjali Yoga and poster color painting.
Mandala art, you said.
Yes, sir.
What is mandala art?
Sir, mandala art was basically practiced in Buddhism, and mandal is a Sanskrit word which means discoid or a circular object. Sir, in mandal art, circles are drawn, contained in a square, arranged in a fashion that it leads to a central point. And also in it, various shapes are used, such as, for example, a circle, which depicts wholesomeness, then lotus, which depicts balance. So, sir, by using these shapes, we draw a mandala, and in mandala, it is drawn in such a way that no space is left blank. Every space within it is covered.
Who started this form of art?
Sir, it was started by Buddhist monks and they use it to draw sand mandalas. Sand mandalas were used basically for meditation, and also after drawing the sand mandalas, they remove it, depicting the concept of impermanence in Buddhism.
Okay. Your subject was political science and international relations. Am I right?
Yes.
Can you tell me why is political science studied with international relations? Why can't they be studied separately?
Sir, they both are studied together because there is an interlinkage. In political science, we study about domestic politics, the role of state actors in national politics. So it is also important to study why international politics is relevant for domestic politics. For example, a country maintains its relations with other countries. So that guides its foreign policy, which ultimately affects its national interest. That is why both needs to be studied together.
Okay. So if you have studied international relations, can you
Yes.
tell us about the developing situation in Afghanistan?
Sir, in Afghanistan, unfortunately, the US troops have withdrawn mostly. So the developing situation currently is that Taliban is attacking at major points. It has recently attacked at the Spin Boldak region, and it is trying to gain force and trying to build pressure on the Afghan government to gain territory. There is a situation of almost like a civil war in Afghanistan.
All right. The Taliban, they belong to a certain tribe. Do you know which tribe they come from?
Yes, sir. They mainly come from the Pashtun community.
And why are they called Taliban?
Sorry, sir. I will have to read about it.
Okay. You do not know the meaning of the word Taliban?
Sorry, sir. I will read about it.
Okay, doesn't matter. Now, what is our Look East policy?
Sir, our Look East policy was started by Honorable Prime Minister P.V. Narasimha Rao. It was to increase our relations at economic level, at cultural level with the Southeast Asian countries. And in 2014, our current Prime Minister converted it into Act East policy and took a step further to strengthen relations with the countries in Southeast Asia.
Can you name some of the projects that have been undertaken as part of the Act East policy?
Yes, sir. With Myanmar, we have taken certain projects such as the Kaladan multimodal project. We have also conducted Operation Sunrise to deal with insurgency. Then we are also having a trilateral highway connecting India, Thailand, Vietnam. These are the projects.
All right. But even China is building an infrastructure project which has come into a lot of international attention. Are you aware of that initiative?
Sir, the One Belt, One Road initiative of China.
Yes. What do you know about the One Belt, One Route initiative?
Sir, it is a massive and grand project of China. More than 100 countries have been involved under it, and China is building various infrastructure projects in countries which lack funds to build infrastructure. For example, it is building in Afghanistan, in various African countries, in Sri Lanka. This is its project.
What is the long-term objective that China wants to achieve through this initiative?
Sir, China wants to project itself as a world power and emerge as a hegemon by building these projects.
Good. Rajiv ji?
So, hello Nitya,
Good afternoon, sir.
good afternoon. You studied in Daulatram.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Who was Daulatram and when did he establish your college?
Sir, Daulatram, sir, was an philanthropist and economist. He was a businessman and he established Daulatram College in the year 1960.
Very good. Very good. Okay. Tell me, what do you understand by corporate governance? Firstly, let me compliment you for having stuck to your subject. I mean, the loyalty factor, as I would say, you studied a subject in college and not strayed away to another subject just to get into the civil services. It's a passion with you, and it's a good. It shows very good you in very good light. Now, tell me, what do you understand by corporate governance?
Sir, corporate governance basically refers to the way a company manages its affairs, its work culture, and it conducts its work in the manner it conducts means its policies or its projects. So this is what is meant by corporate governance.
Which is the law that governs corporate governance? An act
Sir,
of law.
sir, I'm not sure. If you allow me, I can make a
Yes,
calculation.
please do. Please do.
Sir, as far as I remember, Companies Act 2013, but I remember it was amended. So Companies Act govern corporate governance.
When was the original act? To which year does it belong?
Sorry, sir, I will read about it.
Doesn't matter. It's all right. All right. You made a good attempt. You're right. And which is the ministry which is overall responsible for overseeing the provisions of the Companies Act? Ministry in the
Sorry,
government.
sir.
Okay,
Sorry,
doesn't
sir, I
matter.
will read about it.
Doesn't matter. You should know about, since you are a student of economics, so you must read about the Companies Act, their reading of it, just to introduce yourself, and which ministry and what are the legal remedies in case of violations of any of its provision. I'll tell you when we review your performance at the end of your interview. Okay. Now tell me, what are the 5 principles of Panchashil?
Sir, I cannot recall all the principles.
Anyone that you can recollect? Anyone?
Mutual respect for territorial integrity and sovereignty, and there should be non-interference in internal affairs. These two I can recall.
Okay. Now about the economics, I'll stick on to my priority on with economics. What is the tell me what was the uniqueness in the union budget, the last union budget that you noticed? 2 or 3 very important departures they made from the past.
Sir, there was very much emphasis on minimum government and maximum governance. The government's motto was that it has no business to be in business. Then, sir, the budget also focused on innovation and research and development, especially on the part of the private sector. There was also an emphasis on aspirational and inclusive growth, for which various schemes such as the Swamitra scheme was announced.
Okay. Can you mention some skill development initiatives that the government has taken?
Sir, in the budget,
Yes. Yes.
sir, in the budget, the National Apprenticeship Training Scheme was announced. And there was also an emphasis on national education policy, which focuses on vocational education. The government has announced that it will strengthen 15,000 schools, emphasizing on national education policy.
Can you introduce me to the the Open Skies Treaty? What was the Open Skies Treaty about?
Sorry, sir, I cannot recall it at the moment.
Okay. Can you list out what is the Raisina Dialogue?
Sorry, sir, I'm unable to recall it.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. So let us go back to economics. There you seem to be very, very strong. Okay. What is the Sunset Clause?
Sorry, sir, I'm unable to recall.
Government is talking about doubling farmers' income. How do they wish to do it?
Sir, talking about doubling farmers' income, the government has taken various measures, such as focusing on the exports. During the COVID times also, we were exporting to other countries. Then there has been emphasis on exporting to new countries, exploring new markets. The government is also focusing on strengthening the market infrastructure through ENAM projects. And there is also an emphasis on improving the post-harvest infrastructure so as to reduce the wastage and losses. Also, the government has introduced the new farm laws, which allow farmers to sell their produce anywhere in the country.
Okay. What are the 3 laws on which the farmers are agitating? Do you know those laws? The names of those laws?
Sir, the farmers are agitating on farm laws such as interstate trade and commerce of farm produce, Then, sir, there is a farm law which is related to price assurance agreement, and one is related to Essential Commodities Regulation Act. Sir, so the farmers are mainly agitating on these laws.
Okay, do you know what can you say about the Extradition Act? What is it set to achieve, our Extradition Act, and are they adequately? Does it empower our government to handle extradition issues?
Sir, the extradition treaty says that means its main objective is that the person where he has committed the crime, he should be punished in that country. And government has been able to achieve success at various times. For example, it successfully extradited Abu Salim. In the recent case also, government is making efforts to extradite Nirav Modi and Vijay Mallya. But sir, sometimes there are various complexities in another countries, foreign countries' laws also. So it may take time to extradite the person.
Nitya, you must have read in the papers very recently, maybe a day or two ago, about the Honorable Court, Supreme Court, taking a call on one area of cooperative federalism. Which is that area, and what have they said about it?
Sorry, sir, I'm not able to recall it.
Okay. Maybe my last question. What do you know about the OCI and the no? Let me frame it. What do you know about our Pravasi Bharatiya Divas? When is it celebrated? When is it held? And what is the objective of it?
Sir, the Pravasi Bharatiya Divas is celebrated on 15th January. And it is mainly celebrated on this day because Gandhiji returned from South Africa on this day. So, and the main objective of celebrating this day is to recognize our overseas citizens of India, to uh, allow them to see our culture, the government schemes, policies, and to have them to make them to have a patriotic feeling for our country. This is why we conduct such celebrations.
Can you say something more about the diaspora, India's diaspora? I mean, the remittances, in which country are they most situated? The date on which it is celebrated.
The date on which
the Pravasi Bharatiya Divas is celebrated. Date. And what is linked to it? I mean, why is it celebrated on that day?
Sir, it is celebrated on 15th January, and it is celebrated on that day because Gandhiji returned from South Africa on that day.
And the remittances, how much is the remittances from them?
Sir, exact figure I cannot recall.
Doesn't matter. It's okay. It's okay. Very well. Just my last small question. Okay. What is a joint venture?
Sorry, sir. Joint ventures in private companies or government and private companies?
Government and private. What is the shareholding pattern and all?
Sorry, sir. I will read about it.
Then this will be my last question. What is the basic structure of our constitution?
Sir, the basic structure. The basic structure of our constitution, this doctrine was given by the Supreme Court in Keshwanand Bharti case. And the Supreme Court has mentioned various features under it, such as secularism, federalism under it. And it mostly propounds that constitution should not be amended in such a way that it restricts the basic structure. Basic structure means that the vision that was impounded by our constitution makers, when one reads the constitution, that vision should not be destructed after amendments also.
Yeah, very good. Thank you, Nitya. Over to you, Arvind Mohan Saab.
Okay, Nitya, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
So, could you tell me what is this per capita GDP?
Sir, per capita GDP it refers to a nation's GDP divided by its population. It refers to
So,
that is
where do we stand? What's our per capita GDP of our country?
Sir, we stand at the third position in per capita GDP.
In per capita GDP or GDP?
Sir, in per capita GDP.
Okay. You are aware World Bank classifies nations into lower income group, middle income group, higher income or rich countries based
Yes,
on
sir.
this per capita GDP. So, what is the where do we stand in that classification?
Sir, we stand in the middle income group in World Bank's classification.
So, if we were third in per capita GDP, we should be in the rich countries.
Sorry, sir. I will read it again.
Okay. Are you aware what is the threshold for this classification? As to up to this much level, it is a poor country. Beyond this, it is a middle income, and beyond that, it is a high income country.
Sir, I've read about it, but I cannot recall it.
No
now.
idea. Also, can you take some guesses?
Sorry, sir. I cannot recall it.
Okay. So, what is per capita GDP of India in dollar terms?
Sorry, sir. I will read about it.
Okay. Are you aware of a term called middle income trap?
Yes, sir.
What is that?
Sir, middle income trap refers when a country is trapped in its middle income, means it is not able to achieve an income above that. So, Brazil and India are often said to be in middle income trap, and it is said that because of lack of various reforms and growth in the infrastructure sector, basically, we are not able to break that middle income trap.
What is this crowding out effect?
Sir, crowding out effect refers to when the government borrows and the funds for the private sector are left less. So that is known as crowding out effect.
Okay. We were talking a little while ago about budget.
Yes.
Now, this budget laid down a policy for privatization of public sector undertakings. Could you tell me
Yes.
what the policy laid down was?
Sir, the policy was that government will go for privatization of almost all sectors, and it will remain in strategic sectors such as critical infrastructure, financial services, minerals, and the government's policy was that it has no business to be in business. And it has also gone for this because there were various public sector units which were not yielding profits for the government. That is why it has gone for it.
Okay, but as you said that certain areas have been identified as strategic sectors in which government will have a presence. But government has laid down a maximum in that also. Are you aware what is that?
Sir, 4 strategic sectors.
Which are the strategic sectors? You named some of them right now. But what I wanted to know was government has laid down a maximum number of undertakings which it will have in a strategic sector.
Yes, sir.
And other sectors it will simply move out. So what was that maximum that it laid down for strategic sectors?
Sir, the number which the government laid out that it will remain in these number of sectors or in these number of PSUs.
Which are those sectors? Okay.
Sir, I cannot recall the sectors currently. I will read about it.
Okay. Fine. Thank you. So your interview is over. Now we'll start with the feedback.
Thank you, sir.
Nitya,
Yes,
see,
sir.
overall, you maintained a very, very confident look on your face. That's good. And the question that you answered on Daulat Ram and the opening of the college by him is by itself not very relevant. But what I wanted to signal to you is that everything that you've written in DAF is very significant in terms of, and it could, spring a surprise on you. So everything that you mentioned in the detailed application form, both 1 and 2, you must go through each one of them carefully to see how many questions it can solicit,
Yes.
so that you're not taken by surprise. You give a very good answer. So I'm just pointing it out so that you know the nuances of how the board reacts to the DAF. Then on the budget, you were not, I will not say you were wrong or the answer was incomplete. No, I would not say that. Your answer was correct. But see, I put a very crucial word to it. What was it? I asked you what was the significant departures they made from the past. So in that, I expected you to put digitization for the first time. Departure was made. It was totally digitized. And what does it signify for us? Wasteful expenditure on paper has now been reduced to 0. That is one. Then our emphasis on digitization itself, part of e-governance. That way you should elaborate your answer so that it looks that, okay, then on the OST, the Open Skies Treaty, it was meant, actually, I just wanted to ask you whether Open Skies Treaty was signed, I think, in 1992, if I'm correct. Yes, it was in 1992. And the significance of it is that it was in the news. US pulled out of it, I think, blaming Russia for violating the clauses and the provisions of the act. Now, OST, what does it permit? It permits nations to, undertake unarmed flights to collect data on military activities of other countries who are part of the group or who are signatories to the treaty. Then it was signed in 1992 and became operational in 2002. So, and just bare facts I'm mentioning to you, so that 34 nations are members, but India and China are not members to it. Okay, and it has a open state consultative commission. I think the name, just kindly go through it. They oversee the functioning of and very important about it is that you cannot, that much should be enough. So just go through briefly on the provisions of the act. Then I asked you the Raisina dialogue. That's also a very significant dialogue for us because insofar as it is, a geopolitical event. It is a geopolitical and geo-economic event, and it is convened by the Ministry of External Affairs. I think what we've had recently is the 5th dialogue, and it focused on the corona. It made certain strong observations on how to get over it was held on a virtual mode. Then extradition treaty we mentioned, but 2 important things that you should remember: there is a request for extradition of a person can be made not on political or military offenses committed in a country. It has to be on these 2 clauses are excluded. Number 1. Number 2, the request for extraditing a person can only be made by the Ministry of External Affairs. So these are 2 areas that you should remember on this. The diaspora, ideally, you memorize this fact that in 2015, the overseas citizens of India and the persons of Indian origin, they were merged. They were merged to have now a larger, and the remittances are about $80 billion. And the date that it was 9th of January, 1915. You mentioned but just make a correction. If it is 9th January or the one that you mentioned, I'm not 100% sure now that you've said it with such confidence. It could be either, but it was the year 1915 when Gandhiji. Okay. So otherwise, you were quite confident in handling the questions. Just go through these I mean, why these questions are important is not because they might spring, but I mean, the way you should go about structuring your answer on the Open Skies Treaty so that should form a basis for your, that's about all. Arvind Mohan Saab. And Nitya, you must come
Yes.
out on top of the list. I can't see your name anywhere in between. Your name should
Thank
figure
you,
on the top.
Okay. So Nitya, as Rai Sahab has already told you, you have to study your DAF very carefully. So more, I would say 70% of the questions will have their origin in your DAF only.
Yes, sir.
So you can expect a lot many questions on your political science, economics, then political relations, political science and international relations, because it was your optional subject, and more so because you have opted for IFSS number 2. So what I would suggest is, first you list out these topics separately, then list out what are the possible questions can be there. Now for a subject like economics, there can be endless questions, but still, what are the things that you need to know immediately? You just focus on that and be prepared with your model answers also to those questions, not just questions. So do this exercise. You will, I think you will be able to draw a list of 100, 150 questions like this based on your DAF. Prepare answers
Yes.
for them. It will add a lot to your confidence in the actual interview. Okay. So just
Yes.
do this exercise, because I found that regarding economics, you are not much aware.
Yes, sir.
As a matter of fact, I tried to correct you when you said we stand third in per capita GDP. We don't. We are there at a fairly high place in GDP, total GDP. But when it comes to per capita GDP, we are very, very low. So
Okay.
I asked you another question. Where are we, in low income, middle income, or high income? You said middle income.
Middle.
So that means we are not in the top countries as far as per GDP thing is concerned, per capita GDP. So that you have to be aware of some of the economic terms. You can go through the main terms of economics, mostly macroeconomics. Microeconomics doesn't carry much weight there. So go into macroeconomic terminology and study that. And of course, since you're a student of economics, you must have seen the budget. Privatization of public sector undertakings is a burning topic. Government has laid down a definite policy. Earlier, there was no policy, but this time government laid down a specific policy that we will follow this policy for privatization. You must know what is the difference between privatization and disinvestment. We have been doing disinvestment for long, but this is for the first time that we are saying that we are going to privatize these undertakings.
Okay.
Okay, so just rebrush yourself on all these things. When is your actual interview?
27 August.
27 hours. So you have some time. It will not take
Yes.
much of your time. What I have told you, it will take hardly 10-15 days for you to prepare on this, and you will have a very, very improved performance in your actual interview. Okay,
Sir.
thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So Chairman Sir will sum it up now.
So Nitya, what did you think of your own performance today?
Sir, I need to prepare on various topics, brush
Yeah.
up my knowledge part.
How many mock interviews have you taken so far?
Yes, sir, I have taken many, 4 to 5, I think.
Okay, so there is no point in taking many interviews unless you prepare. You should devote more time to preparation than to attending mocks, because while mocks do have some amount of importance, but it is more important to prepare, right?
Yes, sir.
I hope you know the drill of walking into the interview room Has anyone told you how to do it?
Yes, sir. They have to.
Oh, so I will not repeat them. What are you planning to wear for the interview?
Sir, I will wear sari.
Sari, okay. So yeah, sari of a sober color, preferably cotton sari or a handloom sari. It should not be flashy. Even the border need not be very flashy. Okay. So that is you have a very good personality, very good disposition. You are poised, but your confidence level, because you are not yet very familiar with the subjects, is not as per expected standards. So you need to work on the preparation part more, and don't take maybe one, maximum 1-2 mocks before the final interview. Otherwise, you will get more and more confused. Spend
Yes,
more
sir.
time on reading and on preparing. Okay, and say for instance you are given international relations as your optional subject. So obviously there will be lots of questions on international relations. You should be aware of the various situations in obtaining in different parts of the world. For instance, Afghanistan is a very likely subject on which you may be quizzed. So be prepared with those things. And otherwise, I think there's no other issue. If you have any questions, please ask.
Sir, most of my questions are answered.
Okay, so we wish you all the best, and spend more time on preparation than on mock interviews. And do not take many mock interviews, otherwise you will get confused, right?
Yes, sir.
Prepare your subjects more. That would be my advice. All the best to
Yes.
you.
Thank you,
God
sir.
bless you.
Okay,
Good luck,
Nitya, all
Nitya.
the best.
Good
Thank
luck.
you.
Thank you, sir.
Well, can you log out now? Yeah, you can log out.
Yes, sir.